Good evening. Welcome to South Asia Newsline. I'm Jaishankar. Here are the top stories we are tracking for you on Monday, the 1st of August. Maldives President Ibrahim Mohamed Solih arrives at New Delhi on 4-day India visit. Separatist leader hits out at China for exploiting Balochistan in name of CPEC. And crisis hits Sri Lanka, introduces fuel rationing amid severe shortage. And now for all the details. Maldives President Ibrahim Mohamed Solih arrived on 4-day visit to India on Monday to review the progress made in this wide-ranging partnership between the two countries. He is accompanied by high-level officials and a business delegation. Apart from meeting India's Foreign Minister Jaishankar on Monday, Solih will also be meeting President Droupadi Murmu and will be holding talks with Prime Minister Narendra Modi on Tuesday. Several agreements are expected to be signed after the talks. He is scheduled to visit India's financial capital Mumbai on Wednesday. The Maldives is India's key neighbour in the Indian Ocean region and occupies a special place in the country's Neighbourhood First policy. For India, the Maldives has always been a close and important maritime neighbour. Multifaceted ties between the two countries have strengthened despite the pandemic-related disruptions. Solih's visit to India comes at a time when there's political tension back home over demand to remove Speaker Mohamed Nasheed from the parliament. Both Solih and Nasheed are from the same ruling Maldives Democratic Party. India confirmed its first monkeypox death on Monday, which occurred in the state of Kerala. The Health Minister of Kerala, Veena George, confirmed the 22-year-old youth died on Saturday and his family had told officials he had tested positive in the UAE on July 21. Authorities in Kerala's Thrissur were on alert after the death in a private hospital in the district. At least 20 people have been quarantined in the aftermath of the death. The Kerala minister said that while the results of the test done in the UAE confirmed the presence of the monkeypox virus, a probe would be conducted to ascertain the cause of death. India has reported at least 5 cases of monkeypox so far, of which 3 are from Kerala and 1 each in New Delhi and southern Andhra Pradesh state.
He was having encephalitis and altered seizures. So he was treated for some other diseases, so doctor suspected some other diseases, but he was given antibiotics and all. But unfortunately, he passed away on 31st evening. So we are conducting the inquiry. This is not that usual.
Pakistan's ousted Premier Imran Khan has criticized Army Chief General Qamar Bajwa after he appealed to Washington to use its leverage to secure the early release of International Monetary Fund money while the South Asian nation struggles to stave off an economic crisis. Khan said it is not the job of the Army Chief to deal with economic matters and his intervention means the country is getting weaker.
Pakistan's ousted Premier Imran Khan has criticized Army Chief General Qamar Bajwa for seeking help from the US over the much-needed bailout package from International Monetary Fund for the country, saying it is not the job of the head of the military to deal with economic matters and his intervention means the country is getting weaker. Bajwa spoke over the phone with the U.S. Deputy Secretary of State Wendy Sherman and also appealed to the White House to use their influence for the early disbursal of the nearly $1.17 billion loan from IMF, Pakistan media reported last Friday, as the cash-strapped country faces a possible debt default due to its depleting foreign exchange reserve. Speaking during a TV interview this past weekend, Khan said that this shows that neither the foreign governments nor the IMF trust the government and that is why the Army Chief took the responsibility, the Dawn newspaper reported. Pakistan's relations with the US have been damaged by Imran Khan's harsh anti-US rhetoric, who has repeatedly blamed Washington of conspiring to topple him in a parliamentary vote in April. However, Pakistan's military, which has directly ruled the country for more than half of its 75-year history, has closely worked with the US and was an official ally in the war on terror against Al-Qaeda in Afghanistan. High commodity prices have hit Pakistan hard. The current account deficit soared to over $17 billion in the last financial year compared to under $3 billion in the previous period. Reserves have dropped to dangerous levels, covering under 2 months of imports.
Moving on. Allah Nazar Baloch, the chief of separatist organization Balochistan Liberation Front, has demanded Beijing to immediately stop the China-Pakistan Economic Corridor project, which has displaced thousands of indigenous people and destroyed natural resources in Balochistan. In a video statement, he also warned other foreign investors to stay away from the region.
Baloch separatist leader Allah Nazar Baloch has hit out at China, demanding Beijing to immediately stop CPEC, the China-Pakistan Economic Corridor project, in Balochistan, as it has forcibly displaced hundreds of indigenous people. In a video message, the chief of the Balochistan Liberation Front said China should avoid being a partner of Pakistan, the illegal occupier of Balochistan. He highlighted there has been a rise in enforced disappearances and extrajudicial killings in the wake of CPEC and urged other foreign investors to stay away from the region. His statement came after recently China and Pakistan called on third countries to join in the multi-billion-dollar projects, a move India has also condemned as the CPEC passes through Gilgit-Baltistan, a region under Pakistani occupation that New Delhi claims as its own.
Balochistan ata CPEC naam sara Baloch rashuma darande kanagaye Baloch rashuma ashoti deha kashagaye Baloch mar milkat tabah kanagaye yak kunem lak mardum eu kashto ach rakshana bigirta ke chata to laddin tage hame CPEC sara.
Ethnic Baloch guerrillas have been fighting the Pakistan government for decades for a separate state, saying Islamabad, along with China, has been unfairly exploiting Balochistan's rich gas and mineral resources under the garb of CPEC. Rights activists also blame thousands of Baloch people have been killed or arbitrarily detained by the Pakistan military for raising their voices against its atrocities and the CPEC.
In news from Sri Lanka. Crisis hit Sri Lanka introduced fuel rationing for the distribution of fuel across the country in the form of National Fuel Pass QR system effective from Monday. Staff at petrol stations check a QR code issued for each vehicle before pumping fuel, with an allocated quantity registered in the system.
Snaking queues were sighted at petrol stations across Sri Lanka on Monday as the crisis-hit island nation introduced a QR code-based national fuel pass system. Staff at petrol stations check a QR code issued for each vehicle before pumping fuel, with an allocated quantity registered in the system. Vehicles have a varying weekly quota of fuel depending on type. While many have praised the new system, some were not happy with the quantity.
QR ක්‍රමේ නම් හොඳයි. නමුත් ඇවිල්ලා අපිට මේ දෙන ප්‍රමාණය මදි. ලීටර් පහයිනේ දෙන්නේ 3 wheel වලට. අපි ඔය 3 wheel ලීටර් පහක් කියන්නේ ඇවිල්ලා දවස් එකමාරෙන් ඉවරයි ඒක. ඉතින් අපිට ඇවිල්ලා සාමාන්‍යයෙන් ලීටර් 25ක් දෙනවා නම් කමක් නැහැ සුමාන්ට සරයක්.
මේ යන වැඩ පිළිවෙල ගොඩාක් හොඳයි. අපි හිතනවා මේ QR ක්‍රමයට ගහනවා නම් හැයන මිනිස්සු කට්ටියකට මේක ගහන්න පුළුවන් වෙයි කියලා.
Taking to Twitter on Monday, Minister of Power and Energy Kanchana Vijayasekara said that 5 million vehicles were registered with National Fuel Pass QR system. The country of 22 million people has been crippled by an economic crisis in recent months, with residents facing shortage of fuel, food and other necessities.
More on news from Sri Lanka. Sri Lankan President Ranil Wickremesinghe has told the Wall Street Journal that it was not the right time for former President Gotabaya Rajapaksa to return to the country, as it could inflame political tensions. Rajapaksa fled the island nation on July 13 and stepped down from his position after facing calls to resign over his handling of the country's economy. Sri Lanka's new President Ranil Wickremesinghe said on Sunday it was not the right time for former President Gotabaya Rajapaksa to return to the country, as it could inflame political tensions, the Wall Street Journal reported. Rajapaksa, after facing calls to resign over his handling of the country, fled on July 13 and stepped down from his position. Days later, Wickremesinghe won a vote in parliament to become the new president. Wickremesinghe has remained in contact with Rajapaksa to deal with administrative handover issues and other government business, the journal said. The crisis-hit country has been in talks with the International Monetary Fund on a bailout package. Wickremesinghe expected the IMF staff-level agreement to be reached by the end of August, the report said, adding that Sri Lanka will have to secure upwards of $3 billion from other sources next year to support essential imports including fuel, food and fertilizer. The ongoing economic crisis in Sri Lanka has forced some women to turn to sex work for earning an income and run their houses. Life has not been easy for 21-year-old sex worker who had been working in a textile factory and later as a daily wager to support her family. However, the meager income was not enough to sustain them. Thus, she started working as a sex worker.
මට හම්බුණා ස්පා ඕන කෙනෙක්. එයා මට සැරින් සැර යෝජනා කරා ස්පා එකට එන්න. මෙහෙමයි මීට වඩා මේ ගාණක් එතනදි ගන්න පුළුවන් ඔයා එන්න. එහෙම කිව්ලෙත් මං ඒ දවස්වල ඒකට අකමැති වුණා. ඊට පස්සේ මේ රට තත්ත්වෙත් එක්ක ආර්ථික තත්ත්වෙත් එක්ක මට මේ මුදල් අවශ්‍යතාවය වැඩි වුණා. ඊට පස්සේ මම හිතුවා මේ රස්සාවට යනවා කියලා.
According to Executive Director of Stand Up Movement Lanka, an organization working for the rights of sex workers, most of them were not able to find any jobs and they did not have any alternative apart from sex work. The South Asian nation of 22 million has $12 billion overseas debt with private creditors. It defaulted on a bond payment earlier this year and is struggling to pay for imports of basic goods. Hariyali Teej festival is observed with great excitement and opulence in India and commemorates the marriage of Hindu god of destruction, Lord Shiva, with goddess Parvati. India celebrated the festival in all pomp and glory over the weekend with processions comprising various folk and traditional performances.
India celebrated Hindu monsoon festival of Hariyali Teej on Sunday in all pomp and glory as roads were adorned with festive colours with processions comprising various folk and traditional performances. The celebrations in the northern Rajasthan state come after a 2-year gap owing to the coronavirus pandemic, which compelled locals to tone down the vibrancy of the occasion. Hariyali Teej celebrates the monsoon and the union of Hindu gods, Lord Shiva and goddess Parvati. It commemorates the day when Lord Shiva accepted goddess Parvati's love for him.
आज ऐसे लाइव इतना पास से देखकर दोबारा से वैसे ही हर्षोल्लास देखकर बहुत खुशी हो रही है और एंजॉय कर रहे हैं. वो 2 साल जो थे वो बीत गए लेकिन आज कुछ नई शुरुआत को देख के दोबारा से बहुत अच्छा लग रहा है.
Every year, India's pink city Jaipur sees people in large numbers joining the procession and participating in the festivities.
बेहद खुशी है कि आज हम वापस 2 साल बाद इतने रॉयल तरीके से तीज का त्यौहार मना पा रहे हैं. आज जैसा कि आप देख रहे हैं बहुत ही जोश है, लोगों में बहुत उत्साह है, बड़े बुजुर्ग सभी एज ग्रुप्स के लोग यहाँ पे मौजूद हैं और ये शाही तीज की माता की जो सवारी है, सिंदारा और तीज का जो महोत्सव है सभी बहुत धूमधाम से मना रहे हैं.
The festival of Hariyali Teej falls on the 3rd day after the new moon of the Shravan or the monsoon month every year in July or August.
Celebrations erupted back home as Indian weightlifter Achinta Sholi bagged India's 3rd gold at the ongoing Commonwealth Games in United Kingdom's Birmingham on Monday. 20-year-old Sholi, who hails from West Bengal state, scripted history after lifting 313 kilograms in the men's 73 kg event. People danced and cheered outside his residence as they celebrated his victory. Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi also took to Twitter to laud the win and appreciated Sholi's dedication, sharing an old video of their conversation. President Droupadi Murmu said the young athlete has made India proud. Earlier, Indian weightlifters Mirabai Chanu and Jeremy Larlinanga also bagged gold medals for India over the past weekend, while Bidya Rani Devi and Sanket Mahadev Sargar clinched silver medals. Well, that's all we have for you from South Asia this evening. Now our viewers can watch the show on SouthAsiaNewsline.com. You can also visit us on Facebook.com/Asia Newsline and follow us on Twitter @Asia Newsline. That's all in tonight's edition. We will see you same time tomorrow. Good night.